This is going to be a shorter podcast, experimenting with the times. I think I'm going to aim for like a 15, 20 minute. You'll clearly know based on the time of the video / podcast you are watching / listening to. But anyway, time is relative. And so is your cousin. Oh! A quick tangent to start. But Americans are always like, do you like tea? Do you like tea? You're fucking British. You must like tea. Yeah, I like tea. It's good. It's tasty. It's refreshing. Move on. Anyway. I'm repping my New York Knicks jersey, J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith was one of my favorite players growing up until 2018 NBA Finals Game 1. For that inexplicable game, he can go to hell. But not really, JR, if you're watching, you can go to hell. Sorry, I tricked you. But you tricked me into thinking the Cavs had a shot. Anyway, it's crazy how, just thinking about sports, I guess, in general, everyone in ancient Greece, back in the day, I'm not sure if any of you were around for ancient Greece, but for fun, it's crazy. They would just go down to the port and just throw metal. And then one day they were like, should we see who can throw this metal the farthest? And everyone was like, yeah, that sounds great. We're in ancient Greece. There's nothing else to do. And so they threw this metal, and then one guy threw the metal the farthest. And so to celebrate the fact that he had thrown this metal the farthest, everyone else was like, we're going to give you a medal made of metal. There's no crowd, but if I were to tell this for a crowd, I don't think anyone would be laughing. Anyway, basketball. It's the basketball podcast today. We're chatting all things basketball. I'm going to talk a bit about my experience in the basketball world. I got a funny story. Last year, 2019, I went to Game 5 of the NBA Finals up in Oakland. And I went up. I got these tickets. I spent all my work money from the summer on these tickets, which were the worst tickets in the house. The farthest seats up, impossible. You couldn't see a thing. So much better to watch it on TV. Have Marv Albert and Mike Breen and Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy calling the shots. It was much better. Hang on, I'm getting a call from my mum. I'm going to answer it. Hello? No, that was actually really helpful, and I've got all the stuff in order. So hopefully, thank you so much. Yeah, I've got one I'm seeing one at 2 p.m. Yeah. 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 Hang on, I got to take another... Yeah, no, it's all good. I have to take another call really quickly. Yeah. Hello? Hi. Hey, could you just leave the package at the door, please? I'm not home right now. Yes, I'm taking full responsibility for this package. It is Soros.
Go outside and get it.
S-O-R-O-S.
Go outside and get it. Go outside and get it, sir.
Okay, I'm actually nearby, so I'm gonna come get it. All right, so essentially, what happened, Fraser heads, is my mum called me because I've lost my passport. It's a complete tangent. But my mum called me because I'd lost my passport. I have UK and US passport because my dad's a US citizen and my mum's a UK citizen. And so in like January, I lost my passport on a flight going, I think, in Colorado. And then it got left in that seat pocket, and then that plane went to Nashville. And then some lady in the Nashville airport found my passport and DM'd me. She DM'd me on Facebook. She was like, "Hi, I think I have your passport." I was like, "Oh my God, you're a godsend." So I was like, "Hey, can you send it to this address?" And she was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then she never sent it to my address. So now I've had to cancel my passport. I've DM'd this lady like 10 times. Her name is Bryant, which is a crazy name. So should have expected it from Bryant. Cancel Bryant. Yeah. But anyway, so I had to cancel my passport, even though I should have canceled Bryant. And then I had to get a new one. But to get a new one, I needed a copy of my old passport to submit to the passport agency. But obviously I can't do that because Bryant has my passport. So the only other option, because I was born outside of the US, I can't submit a birth certificate. I need to submit a consular report of birth abroad, which I quite simply do not have because when I was born, my parents forgot to do it. To be fair, if I had a kid right now, don't think I am having one, I would also probably not know to do that. But anyway, so then I've had to get this, so I have to go and get this consular report, which is going to take 4 to 8 weeks. And then I have to get a passport, which is going to, because there's no expedited services, which is going to take another 8 to 10 weeks because of COVID. And I'm not very good at mathematics, but I believe that adds up to 12 to 18 weeks. That's a lot of weeks. That's more weeks than there are Tide Pods in a 17 Tide Pod bag, you know? It's crazy. And Trump just announced this new thing where like UK citizen, or what, no, not UK citizens, where foreign people aren't allowed into the US anymore, even on H1B1 visas. That's a strand of flu, right? H1, what is it?
The visa, H1B.
Yeah, but what's the strand of flu?
H1B1.
Yeah, which one?
H1N1.
H1N1. Okay, H1B1 is the visa.
H1B.
H1B is the visa, and H1N1 is the flu. So I've got H1N1. No, the other one. I don't have H1N1. I'm clean. I actually got tested again today, just to be safe. I'm confused. Anyway, so then, but then while she was calling, FedEx called because they were delivering a package also from my mum. But this was my graduation present. And so I feel, why don't we have an unboxing live on stage, live on pod. So she FedExed it from the UK, and I have no idea what it is. My 18th birthday present from her was a bust of Queen Victoria, which was quite exciting. But this doesn't quite look as big as a bust. My mom is a wonderful lady. Okay, how are we gonna open this? Max, do you have a knife or anything?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Sorry.
Just gonna. This is why you gotta watch on YouTube rather than listen. You don't get. I've never been good at unboxing things. Back in the day, they called me. I don't know what they called me. Well, I'll tell you what they called me. My name was, Simon. Well, my name is Simon Soros. And so some people would call me Seaman Sorass, which was a tough nickname to have as an 8-year-old. Why the name changed to Fraser? That's why. No, there are other reasons. We've gone over it. Episode 2, baby. Jesus Christ. This better be worth it. I mean, I have no clue. Oh, it's bubble wrapped? It's bubble wrap, so let's see how this goes. This was meant to be the podcast, the basketball episode. Instead, what my mom has sent me for my graduation is I can't even pronounce it. Thesaurus. She sent me a thesaurus for the Little Oxford Writer's Shelf. Ah, yes, me, the famous writer. Okay, great. That's great. That's terrific. Thank you so much. This is actually great. I needed one of these because I often choose the wrong word. And there's also an English thing. I don't really not sure what it is yet. Oh, and then this thing in bubble wrap. What a graduation present, am I right? It's a remarkably old book. And we're going to see what it's the history of the Great Plague in London in the year 1665. When was this published? This was, oh my God, this was printed in 1754. That's amazing.
Incredible content.
This is great content. Thanks so much, Mum. This is actually amazing. All right, well, we're going to read from this book because we're going to learn about the history of the Great Plague in 1665. So here we go. This book, which was printed in 1754, it was printed for and sold by F&J Noble at their circulating libraries in King Street, Covent Garden, in St. Martin's Court, near Leicester Square, 1754. The price was 5 shillings. So this book was 5 shillings. Is this by Samuel Pepys? Didn't he write the first diary? Is this a diary or just a history? Okay, here we go. Is it Samuel Pepys? I was never quite sure if it was pronounced Peep or Pepys. His name is Samuel Pepys. And he wrote the first diary, I believe. But I don't believe that. People are always like, oh yeah, this guy wrote the first diary. There's no way no one wrote a diary before him. There's no way before the year 1665, like no one in the world was like, oh, what did I do today? Oh, I should write it down. Like that obviously happened. Anyway, so here we go. Chapter 1, History of the Plague. It was about the beginning of September 1664 that I, among the rest of my neighbors, heard in ordinary discourse that the plague was returned again in Holland, for it had been very violent there, and particularly at Amsterdam and Rotterdam in the year 1663. Whether they say it was brought, some said from Italy, others from the Levant, among some goods, which were brought home by their Turkey fleet. Others said it was brought from Candia, others from Cyprus. It mattered not from whence it came, but all agreed it was coming to Holland again. Okay, well, this is just a terrific read. Oh, look at this. This is a rare book. I honestly could have guessed that from the fact it was published in 1754, but The History of the Plague. Go out and buy it right now. This is the first advertisement we have on this podcast, and it is for The History of the Plague. And so essentially, Mum, thank you so much for the Little Oxford Writer's Shelf and for the history of the plague. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. What a win. Okay, we'll just get this out of here. Oh, shit. There was something else in there. I think there was something else. There's a card. It's to me. Here we go. This is, I don't know if, Mum, you wanted this to be private or not. Okay. World's best graduate. First place every time. That's not true. I many times come in second place or third place. Sometimes fourth place. And sometimes I'm not going to finish that joke. Okay, this is long, and it's in a handwriting that I have to figure out, so we're going to go back to the basketball podcast. But thank you very much, my mum, for that crazy encounter, but very nice. And if we ever forget that there were plagues before COVID-19, now we remember. Okay, so I'm with Kendrick Perkins. No, fuck, I gave away the story. Cut. I go back. I can't remember, where was I? I was at the store. Oh yeah, okay, last summer, we're talking about basketball in this episode. This took the biggest tangent I've ever seen. We're talking about basketball, and I love basketball. Last summer, I went to Game 5 of the NBA Finals in Oakland. The Golden State Warriors versus the Toronto Raptors. And the Toronto Raptors were up, or was it Game 4? Might have been Game 4. Yeah, it was Game 4. I went to Game 4. And Toronto was leading the series 2-1. And I went up there with a friend, shelled out like all my summer earnings to go see this game. And all those summer earnings essentially got us the worst seats in the house, which was just not a good time. It would have been much better just to stay at home, watch the game on ESPN with Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson and Doris Burke and all those friendly folk who you get to know over the years. But we're up there and the worst seats in the house. And it's a good game. We get to see Kawhi go off against the Warriors. And I like the Warriors. I just don't like Kevin Durant. I guess the same way this isn't a new take, but people are like, oh, I hate the Warriors. I don't hate the Warriors. I just hate Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant it was almost like he went to the grocery store to buy some groceries and then bought the store. Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Anyway, that's why I don't like Kevin Durant, because he bought the store. So I was excited to see Kawhi. I think he scored like 37 points that game. Third quarter went off, just shot after shot after shot. It was like me on a Wednesday night. Just kidding. Nah, I'm not kidding. I gotta fix my Wednesday night drinking habits. But anyway, so the game's over, and we're like the top deck, worst seats, and everyone's filing out. And I'm kind of like, damn, like I've shelled out all my summer earnings for this experience, and this was honestly quite a bad game. Like it was fun, but no one was really excited since it was an away game for the Raptors, who won. So then we go, I'm with my friend Grace, and we go down to the first level. And as everyone's leaving from the first level, close to the court, we like just walk back in, and we're like, oh, we forgot something. And then we get down to courtside, and we're there, and you can see like all these reporters, like Stephen A. Smith is reporting on the court, and Kendrick Perkins is reporting on the court, legend, and Rachel Nichols is reporting on the court. All these, people you just see on the TV. And so we're chilling, and then people are like, "You need to leave. Please leave the stadium now." And we're like, "Okay." And then backstage, where all the players and reporters go after the game, is like to our left, and Kendrick Perkins has moved from the court, and he's now being interviewed. And I see this as an opportunity. Kendrick Perkins, for those of you who don't know, is a very large, retired 7-foot basketball player, previously on the Boston Celtics, one season on the Cleveland Cavs, the Cavaliers, for the more formal of you. And so essentially I see Kendrick Perkins, I'm like, this guy is big, and I am not big. And I'm like 5'9", 5'10", actually. Measured myself again, gained an inch. What a win. I was on my tiptoes. And so we go, and so I go, sorry. So Grace is like behind me, and Grace is just a friend of mine. She lives in San Francisco. I was like, hey, want to go to the game? She was like, absolutely. And so then we get there, and I see Kendrick Perkins. He's getting interviewed kind of before backstage, and then security's there. And I'm kind of like, okay, I've got an idea about how to get backstage. So security's here, on my left, Kendrick Perkins is in the middle, I'm on the right, and I kind of just like use Kendrick Perkins as like a shield and sneak by security. Essentially, Kendrick Perkins set a pick for me, for me to get into the empty lane, to get into the open lane. And so I sneak by Kendrick Perkins, and now I'm backstage. And this is like awesome. I'm looking around, and there are all these reporters and players are just walking by. I'm like, whoa, Jordan Bell. It was not the most exciting guy, but Jordan Bell, I'm a fan of yours. So if anyone's watching, shout out. If anyone's watching who knows Jordan Bell, hopefully some other people are watching. Hopefully people who don't know Jordan Bell are also watching. Shout out to Jordan Bell, good dunker. He played for Oregon, right? Good player. Defensive player of the year, something like that. Good player. And so then I'm there, and then Grace comes by, because Grace, like, I don't know how she managed to get by. I think she was like, she pointed at me to the security and was like, that's my boyfriend. And then the security was like, okay, well, I guess if it's her boyfriend, she's got to go. So then she comes backstage. And so we go to the media room, which is, where like the players will be interviewed after the game. And all the people will be like, hey, this is Chad Cumminsworth from BBC Brazil. LeBron, how did it feel to whatever? Like that place. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I managed to ask Kawhi Leonard a question? And so I get to the media room, because I'm backstage, because oh my God, I just dropped the book. I just dropped the book from 1754. That's my bad. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I asked Kawhi Leonard a question? And so I go, and I like go, and the security's there, and Kendrick Perkins isn't there again to set a screen. So the security's like, identification, please. I'm like, oh, I forgot my badge. And he's like, what publication do you write for? And I'm like, I write for The Athletic. And as I say that, Rachel Nichols is walking by and going into the press room. She takes one look at me and looks at the security guard and says, no, he doesn't. But that's my story of the time Rachel Nichols, that's the story of the time Kendrick Perkins set a screen for me, and then Rachel Nichols blocked me. So Rachel Nichols, huge fan, love the jump. You, Scotty, and Tracy have a great repartee. But at the same time, couldn't you just let me ask one question to Kawhi Leonard, please? Maybe next time. Anyway, yeah, I love basketball. It's just good. I grew up on it. I always loved those plucky point guards. My first ever basketball hero was Stephon Marbury. What a guy! Now plying his trade in China. Then it was Allen Iverson, Derrick Rose. Then I kind of got into the shooting guards a bit more. Ben McLemore. When Ben McLemore, who was this very average NBA player, still better than me, only slightly, he was playing at Kansas. And I think I had heard one thing about him being good at Kansas. So I was like, this guy's going to be a star. So I bought his Kansas jersey, number 23. In the hopes that maybe one day Ben McLemore would develop into a star. And I could be like, I've been a fan of his since he was at Kansas. And essentially, he's not a star. His biggest ever highlight is the time he got stripped by Kawhi Leonard twice in 2 possessions. So that's tough for me. But then J.R. Smith, obviously, represent New York. And then obviously Kobe Bryant, who I also have a story with Kobe Bryant. When I was like 8 or something, I was in Denver because my dad was having heart surgery, and apparently the Denver hospital is great for fixing hearts. And they call it the Mile High City. They should call it the Heart City. or they shouldn't. But so we're staying in this hotel because his surgery is the next day, and we've also got tickets to go see the Nuggets play the Lakers the next night. And so we're there, and then at like 9 p.m., get a call from my dad. He's in his hotel room. And he's like, you'll never guess who's in the hotel room next to me. And I'm like, who? And he's like, Kobe Bryant. And I was like, oh my God. Because I loved Kobe Bryant. I still love Kobe Bryant. He was just like he was one of like those people who I was such a fan of. It was crazy. Like hit Marbury, Iverson, Smith, Bryant. Fuck Ben McLemore. and so it's great. And like every time I would go to like New York City to visit my grandparents, we would always go to the NBA store and get a new Kobe jersey and like play that Papa Shop game, which they had. I don't know if anyone else has been to the NBA or went to the NBA store a long time ago, but they always had that Papa Shop game. I'll go out on the record and say it. I'm one of the best, I think I'm one of the top 100 Papa Shop players in the world. And I stand by this. This isn't like a fun fact or anything. I think it's just a fact. People are always like, oh, introduce yourself, give us your name, hometown, and a fun fact. And then people are always like, my name is Jennifer, and I'm from Wisconsin. That's not a Wisconsin accent. And my fun fact is, one time I watched all of The Hobbit in 2 hours. I don't know. Is The Hobbit 1 movie or 3? The Lord of the Rings is the movie. I watched all of The Lord of the Rings in fast forward. Why am I a comedian? And so that's not a fun fact. A fun fact is, did you know that the capital of Djibouti is also Djibouti? That's fun. That's my new movement. People should stop saying fun facts about themselves when asked for a fun fact, and just say fun facts in general. I don't have any off the top of my head right now, but there are a lot of fun facts in the world, and I'm sure you could find some classics. Elephants can't jump. Think about an elephant trying to jump. It can't do it. Classic. But anyway, so then we go out, my brother's a year younger than me, so we go outside Kobe Bryant's hotel room at like 6 p.m. and we just wait there all night trying to catch a glimpse of him. And at like 9 p.m. or maybe it was 8 p.m., I don't know, I'm coming up with times, but there was one time, time's relative, so is your cousin, and there was one time a reporter came by and knocked on the door, and Kobe opened it, and there he was so tall, and Kobe, and he let the reporter in, and he looked at us, and then he closed the door, and we were like, damn, we just wanted an autograph. And then we still wait there, the reporter leaves, 2 hours later, room service comes in. I guess so, I'm making up times, just for the sake of the story, but all these things did happen. And then room service comes in, and Kobe lets the room service person in, and then he looks at us again, and he closes the door again. And, I mean, maybe I'm not allowed to say this, but what a dick. Like, we're just kids trying to get an autograph, and here he is being like, no autograph. I might actually be too harsh. I'm actually going to reverse my position. I don't think he was a dick at all. In fact, I respect Kobe Bryant even more so for not giving us an autograph. Because all these regular celebs, the Adam Levines of the world, and the Reed Hastings of the world, he's the CEO of Netflix, don't know why I picked him, they'd see people and they'd be like, oh, of course I have time for an autograph. Kobe is just like, fuck you. That's awesome. So good on Kobe. Yeah, I remember telling that story when at the end of January when he and Gianna died. It was so sad. I told that story. Everyone was sharing their Kobe stories, like their memories of him. And I told that story to a friend. And I was like, yeah. And the entire time she's like, no way. So he gave you his autograph? And I was like, that is the opposite of what he gave us. And she was like, never tell that story. And, well, now I've told the story. So, anyway, Kobe Bryant, I respect you, I miss you, and, God, tough times, tough year. But anyway, the problem with Kobe Bryant is, well, there's nothing wrong with Kobe Bryant. You know who there is something wrong with? J.R. Smith. Because J.R. Smith, I was such a fan of. He's just an eclectic guy. He shoots from whatever. He makes the hard shots. He misses the easy shots. He loves Hennessy. He's just a good guy. But that game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals, for any fellow, I'm a big LeBron guy. I became a LeBron guy in like 2015. Essentially, the way it worked is I would always support the team that J.R. Smith was on. So I was a big Nuggets guy originally. And then I became a Knicks guy for a while. And then he moved to the Cavs, so I became a Cavs guy. And then while on the Cavs, I began to appreciate LeBron James more. And now I'm just obsessed with LeBron James. And so I remember like rooting for LeBron in the 2018 finals. And game 1, like no one gave him a shot. And then he puts up 51 points. And then it's ruined because J.R. Smith catches the ball and then doesn't realize that it's a tie game, that they're not up. And it's so annoying because LeBron was not only open on the three-point line, and you know he's going to nail that shot to give himself 52 for the game, and hit a buzzer beater. He's already hit like 3 in the playoffs already. But also J.R. Smith, people forget about like just how bad J.R. Smith was in general. Like in that game. People only ever talk about that final play. In the first half, not only did he almost take out Klay Thompson's legs, which was just like a crazy play, but then with time winding down, as the buzzer went off, as the second quarter ended, someone passes the ball to Steph Curry on the halfway line, and there are like 2 seconds left. J.R. Smith decides to go for a steal. He wouldn't even have time to get a shot off. Decides to go for a steal, misses it. Steph Curry has an open 35-foot shot, makes it. It puts it to like 56-56, I think, at the half. And it's just like J.R. Smith let down LeBron James and will never be forgiven. I was a huge J.R. guy, and after that moment, I can safely say, J.R. Smith, you're horrible, son. You're horrible. But yeah, I like traveling to go to basketball games. I went to Yale, had a game against LSU in Jacksonville, March Madness 2019. Went there with a friend, and it was a great time. We lost, but it was so close. I just needed a few more threes to drop. Had we kept it at our season average, we would have been great. We would have crushed LSU. We would have been a giant killer. 14 seed taking down a 3 seed. What a time that would have been. But alas. But it was still a good time. And then afterwards, we ran into some alums of the team. And they were like, and we started just like drinking with them and having a good time. And when we were getting pretty drunk, they were like, hey, we've got a yacht in Fort Lauderdale. You should come tomorrow. And that's exactly what we did. We booked a 6 a.m. Spirit flight to Fort Lauderdale, and we ended up on these people's yacht. And we had a wonderful time in Fort Lauderdale. And for anyone who hasn't ever been to Fort Lauderdale, you gotta go. Not only did I sneak away from the group for 10 minutes to set the Pop-A-Shot record at some beach hut, but also their fish bowls at I can't remember what it's called, but there's a fish bowl place. You gotta try their fish bowls. This is a Fraser head recommendation. If you're a Fraser head and you're in Fort Lauderdale, get a fish bowl in Fort Lauderdale. What else did we do? Oh, we got this towel, which it was a $100 towel, like had the $100 bill sign on it. Only cost $20. What a deal. Anyway, I'm a big fan of basketball. I love basketball. If there are any other Fraser heads who love basketball, let me know. We're going to wrap this podcast up. It's been a bit confusing with my mum calling and the history of the plague. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed these stories. This was meant to be shorter, but it might be longer. We are going to find out when you see that little thing, which says 00 or end. We're going to see what that end says. Phrase of the day. Who's to say? Ah! What a phrase! Say someone asks you, hey, Simon, what news publication do you write for that would let you into the press box? What do you say? Who's to say? Ah! Then you're let into the press box, or you're denied by Rachel Nichols, but either way. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.